Chapter 1. The Old Mansion. In the heart of the countryside, nestled among ancient trees and overgrown bushes, loomed the imposing silhouette of the old mansion. Its weather-beaten walls stood as a testament to the passage of time, each crack and crevice a silent witness to the secrets hidden within. Few dared to approach, for the mansion held a reputation far darker than its crumbling facade suggested. Stories whispered among the locals spoke of restless spirits that haunted its halls, their mournful wails echoing through the night like a chorus of the damned. Generations had passed since the mansion's glory days, yet its aura of dread remained as potent as ever, a somber reminder of the darkness that lurked within. The mansion's origins were shrouded in mystery, lost to the annals of time like so many forgotten tales. Some said it had been built by a wealthy nobleman seeking solitude from the world, while others claimed it had once been a grand estate, bustling with life and laughter. But whatever its true history, one thing remained certain: the mansion held secrets that were not meant to see the light of day. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the landscape, the mansion seemed to come alive with an eerie energy all its own. Ghostly lights flickered in the windows, and strange noises echoed through the stillness of the night. It was a place of darkness and despair, where the living dared not tread for fear of awakening the spirits that slumbered within. Chapter 2. The Lost Souls. Legends whispered of a family who had once called the mansion home, a family torn apart by tragedy and betrayal. Their names had long been forgotten, their faces lost to the sands of time, but their presence lingered still, trapped within the walls of the ancient estate. Some said they had been cursed by a vengeful witch, doomed to wander the earth for all eternity. Others claimed they had fallen victim to their own greed and ambition, their souls condemned to suffer for all eternity. Whatever the truth may have been, the lost souls of the mansion were said to roam its halls, searching for release from their eternal torment. Their cries echoed through the night, a mournful symphony of anguish that sent shivers down the spines of all who heard it. But despite their suffering, the spirits remained bound to the mansion, their restless souls unable to find peace in the world beyond. Chapter 3. The Curious Investigator. It was on a cold, moonless night that Michael arrived at the mansion, drawn by the allure of its haunted past. He had heard the stories whispered among the locals, the tales of ghostly apparitions and unexplained phenomena that plagued the ancient estate. And as an investigator of the paranormal, he couldn't resist the opportunity to uncover the truth for himself. Armed with his camera and recorder, Michael set out to explore the mansion's shadowy corridors, his footsteps echoing through the empty halls. The air was heavy with a scent of decay, and a chill ran down his spine as he crossed the threshold into the unknown. But he pushed aside his fear, his curiosity driving him ever forward into the heart of darkness. Chapter 4. The Creaking Door. With each step, the mansion seemed to come alive around Michael, its ancient timbers groaning and creaking beneath his weight. Shadows danced in the flickering candlelight, and strange symbols adorned the walls, a testament to the occult forces that lurked within. But Michael paid them no mind, his focus fixed on the task at hand. As he ventured deeper into the mansion's depths, Michael felt a growing sense of unease gnawing at the edges of his mind. Whispers echoed through the empty corridors, their words unintelligible yet filled with malice. He tried to shake them off, but they clung to him like a vengeful specter, haunting his every step. Chapter 5. The Ghostly Apparition. It was then, in the dead of night, that Michael encountered his first sign of the supernatural, a ghostly apparition that materialized before him in the darkness. It was the spectral figure of a woman, her form translucent and ethereal, her eyes burning with a fierce intensity. Michael froze in terror, unable to tear his gaze away from her haunting visage. The woman's lips moved soundlessly, as if trying to speak, but no words escaped them. Instead, she reached out a ghostly hand toward Michael, her touch sending a chill down his spine. And then, as suddenly as she had appeared, she was gone, leaving him alone in the darkness once more. But the encounter left a deep impression on Michael, filling him with a sense of dread unlike anything he had ever known. He knew then that the mansion held secrets far darker than he had ever imagined, and that his quest for the truth would not be an easy one. Chapter 6. The Haunting Whispers. As the night wore on, Michael found himself increasingly tormented by the haunting whispers that seemed to emanate from the very walls of the mansion. No matter where he turned, they followed him, their voices growing louder and more insistent with each passing moment. He tried to capture them on his recorder, but they eluded his grasp, slipping through his fingers like smoke in the wind. Desperate for answers, Michael delved deeper into the mansion's dark recesses, his footsteps echoing through the empty corridors. Shadows danced at the edges of his vision, and he could feel unseen eyes watching his every move. But still, he pressed on, driven by a relentless determination to uncover the truth. As he explored the mansion's hidden passageways and forgotten chambers, Michael couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. It was as if the very walls themselves were alive, their secrets whispering to him in hushed tones. And try as he might, he couldn't escape the feeling that something malevolent lurked just beyond his sight, waiting to strike when he least expected it. Chapter 7. The Dark Secret. With each passing hour, Michael's sanity began to unravel under the weight of the mansion's sinister presence. He started to see things, shadowy figures darting out of the corner of his eye, strange symbols etched into the walls. And the whispers grew louder, their words taking on a sinister edge that sent a chill down his spine. But still, Michael pressed on, driven by an insatiable thirst for knowledge. He combed through the mansion's archives, poring over old journals and letters in search of clues. And slowly, but surely, he began to piece together the dark secret that lay at the heart of the mansion's haunted past. It was a tale of greed and betrayal, of a family torn apart by jealousy and resentment. The patriarch, driven by a lust for power, had made a deal with dark forces beyond his comprehension, sealing his family's fate in the process. And though the specifics of the deal remained shrouded in mystery, its consequences were all too clear. The mansion had become a prison for the souls of the damned, trapped for all eternity in a purgatory of their own making. Chapter 8. The Sinister Presence. As the night dragged on, Michael's sense of dread only intensified, reaching a fever pitch that threatened to consume him whole. Everywhere he turned, he felt the mansion's sinister presence closing in on him, suffocating him with its suffocating embrace. He tried to rationalize it away, to convince himself that it was all just a trick of the mind. But deep down, he knew the truth. The mansion was alive with malevolent energy, and he was its unwitting prey. With each passing moment, Michael felt himself slipping further into madness. Shadows seemed to move of their own accord, twisting and writhing in the darkness like tendrils of smoke. And the whispers grew louder, their voices a cacophony of torment and despair. He tried to block them out, to focus on the task at hand, but they clawed at his mind like a ravenous beast, tearing away his sanity bit by bit. Chapter 9. The Malevolent Force. In the dead of night, Michael was overcome by a malevolent force that seemed to seep into his very soul, filling him with a sense of dread unlike anything he had ever known. It was as if the mansion itself had come alive, its dark energies reaching out to ensnare him in their grasp. He tried to fight against it, to cling to his sanity with every fiber of his being. But it was a battle he could not win, for the darkness was relentless in its pursuit. With each passing moment, Michael felt himself slipping further into the abyss, his thoughts consumed by a maelstrom of fear and despair. Shadows danced at the edges of his vision, twisting and writhing in the darkness like specters from the depths of hell. And the whispers grew louder, their words echoing through his mind like a chorus of the damned. He tried to block them out, to focus on the task at hand, but they seeped into his consciousness like poison, corrupting his thoughts with their insidious lies. Chapter 10. The Desperate Plea. As the darkness closed in around him, Michael knew that he was running out of time. He needed help, someone who could break the mansion's hold over him and set him free from its cursed embrace. But who could he turn to? Who would believe the tales of a haunted mansion and the tormented soul trapped within its walls? With a sinking heart, Michael realized that he was alone, utterly and completely alone in his struggle against the darkness. And yet, despite the odds stacked against him, he refused to give up hope. For somewhere, deep within the recesses of his mind, he knew that there had to be a way out, a glimmer of light in the endless expanse of darkness. And with that thought to guide him, he pressed on, determined to find the answers he sought, no matter the cost. Chapter 11. The Final Confrontation. As the hours stretched into days, Michael's resolve never wavered, even as the mansion's grip on his mind grew ever tighter. He knew that he was nearing the end of his journey, that the time had come to confront the source of the haunting once and for all. With a heavy heart and trembling hands, he ventured deep into the bowels of the mansion, where the darkness seemed to thicken with each step he took. At last, he came upon a hidden chamber, concealed behind a crumbling wall. The air was thick with the stench of decay, and a sense of foreboding hung heavy in the air. But Michael paid it no mind, his focus fixed on the task at hand. With a trembling hand, he pushed open the door and stepped into the chamber beyond. What he found there was beyond anything he could have imagined, a swirling vortex of darkness that seemed to consume everything in its path. At its center stood the source of the haunting, a vengeful spirit consumed by rage and sorrow, its eyes burning with an otherworldly light. Michael's heart raced as he gazed upon the creature before him, knowing that he stood face to face with true evil. But despite the fear that gripped him, Michael refused to back down. With a voice that trembled with defiance, he called out to the spirit, demanding answers to the questions that had plagued him since the beginning of his journey. And to his surprise, the spirit responded, its voice a whisper on the edge of his consciousness. Chapter 12. The Sacrifice. As Michael listened to the spirit's words, a sense of understanding washed over him. He realized then that the mansion's haunting was not the work of a malevolent force, but the result of a tragedy that had unfolded centuries ago. The spirit before him was not a harbinger of evil, but a lost soul trapped in a cycle of torment and despair. With newfound resolve, Michael made a decision that would change the course of his destiny forever. He offered himself as a sacrifice to the spirit, knowing that his own suffering could bring an end to the curse that had plagued the mansion for centuries. It was a selfless act, born of compassion and empathy for the lost souls that wandered its halls. As he prepared to face his fate, Michael felt a sense of peace wash over him, knowing that he had finally found his purpose. With a steady hand, he reached out to the spirit, offering himself up as a vessel for its pain and suffering. And in that moment, he felt a connection form between them, a bond forged in the fires of adversity. Chapter 13. The Redemption. As dawn broke on the horizon, the mansion stood silent once more, its haunted halls bathed in the soft light of morning. The darkness that had once consumed it had been banished, replaced by a sense of serenity and peace. And though Michael's sacrifice had been great, it had not been in vain, for the lost souls that had haunted the mansion for centuries had finally found redemption. With a heavy heart, Michael bid farewell to the mansion and the spirits that dwelled within its walls. Though he knew that his journey had come to an end, he also knew that his actions had helped to bring closure to those who had suffered for so long. And as he walked away from the mansion, he felt a sense of fulfillment wash over him, knowing that he had done what was right, no matter the cost. Chapter 14. The Forgotten Legacy. Though Michael's name would be lost to history, his legacy would live on in the hearts and minds of those who had been touched by his bravery. The mansion remained standing as a testament to the horrors that had unfolded within its walls, a grim reminder of the darkness that lurked in the hearts of men. But with the passing of time, its haunted past would fade into obscurity, a mere footnote in the annals of history. Yet, for those who knew the truth, the mansion would always hold a special place in their hearts, a reminder of the courage and sacrifice that had brought an end to its curse. And though the world would move on, leaving the mansion to crumble into dust, its legacy would endure, a beacon of hope in a world consumed by darkness. Chapter 15: The Eternal Rest. And so, the old mansion faded into obscurity, its haunted halls standing as a warning to all who dared to tread where the living should not roam. But deep within its crumbling walls, the spirits of the past found the peace they had long been denied, their souls finally laid to rest in the cold embrace of eternity. As the years passed, the mansion became little more than a footnote in the annals of history, its dark secrets buried beneath the sands of time. But for those who had been touched by its haunting, the memory of the old mansion would live on, a testament to the enduring power of courage and sacrifice.